Good day, everyone. This is Uglo Fashion, and you're welcome to my channel. So today we are learning how to make this Bustier Mermaid gown. With cape. So please, if you're enjoying this tutorial, subscribe to my channel for more. Then share with your friends and give it a thumbs up. Thank you very much.
Down with scale. The measurement I'll be using is 9.5 for the bust, 13 for the under bust, then 17 for the half length. And the circumference of the bust is 37. That of the under bust is 31.5. For the half length is 31.5. Then the length of the gown is 58. The hip is 46.5. The shoulder is 16 and nipple to nipple is 7. So the first thing I will do is I will subtract the gown length from the half length, which is 58 minus 17, because it has bustier at the upper part where the cape is. So I'm going to measure 58 minus 17, which will give me 41. So I will add 1 inch for my seam allowance. So I'll be using 42 inches now. So from here I'll measure 42 inches. 42 inches. So the fabric I'll be using for this is Shiny Face. I'm going to put this sequence on it. Then I'll be using lining as well, and my paper stay for bustier and wording. So after I've folded my fabric into 2, so after measuring this, the next thing I'll do is to come up here. Then the hip, I'll determine the hip on 25 inches. So what I'll do is, I said the half length is 17. Then I added 1 inch for my seam allowance at the down part. So I'll just come up here and use my 17, like I did now, 17. Then measure my hip length of 25. Then after that, measure the knee length. This is where the shape is coming from. So that's 34. Then I will rule everything out. The circumference of the half length is 31.5. 31.5 divided by 4 is 7.9 or 7.8 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then at the hip length, hip is 46.5. 46.5 divided by 4 will give 11.75 or. Then at the new length, what I'll do is I'll subtract 4 inches from the hip circumference, because I want the damper to be shapy. You can subtract more than that. You can subtract, you may not subtract up to that, depends on your choice how shapy you want that particular nail to be. So what I'll do now is I'll say 46.5 minus 4, and that will give me 42.5. So 42, I divided every other part by 4. So 42.5 divided by 4 will give me 10.8 plus 2 inches seam allowance. So I'll connect the lines. So after that, what I'll do is I'll transfer the measurement I have here. The circumference of it is 13. I'll transfer it to this place. I'll transfer the 13 inches here. Then measure extra 5 inches. can see I connected the 5 inches to the allowance, to the measurement, because this is the one I really am going to cut out, and this is the measurement of the normal body. So in order to connect this to the down part as well, I come in by 2 inches. So I'll trim it out. That's the down part. So this is the front bodies of the mermaid gown. So the next thing I will do now is to go and place my front bodies of this mermaid gown to the back body. Notch the middle and place it on my remaining fabric to cut the back bodies. So I've placed my front bodies of the mermaid gown on the back, on the remaining fabric. I want to use it to cut the back, but I left more than 2 inches allowance for this back side because I want it to have tail. Though I'm still going to add additional tail to it, so I'm using 2.5 for the zipper allowance. I'll still trim out of the zipper allowance. So I just added this for my tail. So I'll use 1.5 for the zipper allowance. And the zipper will end at the hip point. Now at the new length, I will shift my, let me just roll out this more. So at the hip side, at the nail length, I'll come in by 1 inch. Then I will slant it to the hip length. I used my back to trim out my, I used my front rather to cut out my back bodies. The next thing I'll do, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to cut 1 inch from here, and I want it to be in tail form. So what I'll do now is just to slant this. You can see it's having like tail shape, but I will still add another extra tail to it just to make it flow very well. Then I'll notch the zipper allowance I left. So that is that for the down bodies of the mermaid gown. Now I'll transfer this to my neck. I'll cut it out from my neck. Then for the upper bodies, I'll cut the bustier. But for the bustier, I'm going to make use of the lining to cut it first. Then I'll transfer it to my satin. For the upper bodies of the bustier, I measured the nipple point. I folded my fabric into two, then measured the nipple point, which is 9.5. The other part is 13. Then the half length is 17. I added 0.5 for my seam allowance. Now I'll measure the shoulder circumference, which is 16 inches. Then for the shoulder, I'll measure 7. For the armhole, I'll measure 7 inches. I already have videos on this, so I'm using the shoulder dart Bustier. So you can check for shoulder dart Bustier on my channel. After that, I'll measure the circumference of the bust joint, which is 37 inches. 37 divided by 4 will give me 9.25. Then I'll add 2-inch seam allowance. I'll measure the under bust, that's 31.5. That's like 7.8 or so, plus 2-inch seam allowance. Half length is 31.5, so 31.5 divided by 4 will give me 7.8 thereabouts, plus 2 inches seam allowance. And I'll connect the lines. After that, I'll measure the nipple point of 3.5 inches. You know, the nipple point is 7 inches. I'll connect the lines as well. Then from here, I will chalk ½ inch, then connect it to 4.5 here. 4.5 I measured earlier, I'll connect it to it. Here, I'll come out with 2.2 inches rather. 2 inches here to the under bust. Then after that, the remaining 1.5 here, you know, 2 inches to this point will give me, then I've subtracted ½ inch, so the remaining 1.5 I'll use it for the cuff shape, for the bustier shape. Then from here I'll measure 3 inches. So the 2 inches that I removed there, I will add it back here to the measurement. Sorry, if you don't really understand what I'm doing here, you can just check the video out on Bustier Princess that Bustier shape. I measured 2 inches for my zipper allowance for the back bodies of the mermaid gown. Then here I'll measure the nipple point, which is 9.5 inches, and the under bust 13 inches. The half length is 17, but I'm adding ½ inch for the seam allowance. So I'll rule out everything. Now I'll measure the shoulder. The circumference of the shoulder is 16 inches, so that's 8. From there, I'll measure the armhole, which I'm going to use 7 inches for. Then from that 7 inches, I will chalk 4.5. Then on this angle, I'll come in with 1 inch, then connect it like so. After that, I'll measure the circumference of the bust. That's 37. 37 divided by 4 will give me 9.25. Then I will add 2 inches for my seam allowance. On the under bust, the under bust is 31.5, so that's like 7.9 or 7.8 inches, plus 2 inches seam allowance. And on the half length too, I'll measure the same measurement because they are equal. The half length too is 31. So I'll connect my lines. Then whatever I have here, that's 12 inches. I'll transfer it here, then add 1 inch. That's for the slope of the armhole. So I'll cut it out and input like that. I'll open up this join part. Then for my dart, no, it's 3.5. I'll just chalk out my 3.5. I'll add half to it. That's 4 inches. I'll chalk half here. Then on this side too, half. This 3.5, I'll measure it till we get to 6.5 inches. That's for the dart. So for the neckline, the style is asymmetric. So let me first cut the neckline. I'm using 3 inches for the neckline here. So 3 inches by 5. So I'm cutting the two together at first. Then for the armhole slant, for the shoulder slant, for the shoulder slope rather, I'll come down by ½ inch. Then slant it to the neckline. So when I'm done with that, I'll remove one from the other, use them to face each other like so. Then this depends on how the style is. So I'm coming down with 7 inches. What I'll just do is just give it that asymmetric shape. Which I've done, then I'll trim it out. So that's that for the back. So I will do likewise for the front side. I will notch the zipper allowance again. So I'll do the same for the front side. For the front bodies, I'll measure the same 3 inches which I use for the back neckline. I'll measure the 3 inches. Let me place it like this. I'll measure the 3 inches. Then I don't want it to show cleavage, so I'm coming down with 4.5 inches. Then for the shoulder slope, I will measure half, then connect it to the neckline as well. Cut out everything. And after that, I will open it. Then the cape, the asymmetric neck and the cape is at the right side. So what I'll do is I'm going to trim this. I will ensure that the bustier, the underbust that I notch is equal. So this I'm coming down with 6.5. Like I said, I don't want the cleavage to show, and more so I'm still going to replace this on the net. I'm going to use 2 for this side. So I'll join this together, then this part as well. So the next thing now is to cut the
cape of this mermaid gown. I've joined all the bodies of the mermaid gown. Now I left the bustier, the asymmetric part. I just stitch it without folding it inside. I left it like this. So now I will take the circumference of this from the, this is the other side. I'm still going to join my tool with this side So this particular side, I will take the circumference of everything. I have 18.5 here, then the back side plus the back side, I have 27. You know, I left allowance of 2 inches rather. So, but the total here is 27.5. So the cape I'm going to cut now is going to be 27 inches for the width. It's going to be 27 by, the first one is going to be 6 inches, while the second one is going to be 4 inches. So the first one is going to be 27 by 6, while the second one is going to be 27 by 4 inches. So this is how we are going to go about it. Now I've folded my fabric into two. I'll just go this way. I'll pick the joint part this way. Then, you know, I said the circumference is 27. So, and 27, you know, I folded my fabric into 4. So I'm going to say 27 divided by 4, which is going to give me like 6.9 or 6.8 thereabout. So I said this one is going to be 6 inches the length, because it is double flay. I'll be double cape, but it's going to be in form of flay. So I said 6 inches for the first one. Then I will add my allowance of ½ inch to it. So this is 4.5. I'll go around with that 4.5. So I will measure what I have here. You know, I need 6.5. I'll be 6.8 or thereabout. But this is a bit more than that. I'll just shift it a bit. So let me remeasure. Okay, I think I'm almost there. So the next thing is to cut it, to go around with this particular measurement. I have 10.5 here, so I'll go around with that 10.5. So I'll cut it out. For the second step of this mermaid gown cape, I've folded it into 4, like the way I did for the front, for the first one. So I'll just pick the circle I cut out for the first one and place it like this. But what I'll do is, before that, you know, I used 6.5 for this, and I said I'm going to use 4 for this one. So this one too will be 4.5. I'll just tuck my 4.5, then place this on it. You can see they are of the same length. Or I'll just measure what I have here, if it is equal to this one here. But instead of doing that, I think this one is easier for me. So I'll just go around with the circumference I have here, which is 8.5. And I'll cut it out. So for the first flay, which is the cape, I'm going to measure 3 inches here. So I will slant it from the middle part to this edge. And I will open it up. So this is the other one. That's for the small one. So this small one, since I used 3 for that, I'll use 1.5 for this. Notice the middle part, I notched it, but now I'm going to slant it from this middle. You know, it's in 4 pieces. So that's 1.5 inches. I'll open it and place them on each other. So I'm going to cut facing for this, then use my pillow line I use my paper stay to gum the inside, then add my line on it. So it's going to be like this till it get to the back side. So let me go and do that and show you.